I didn't want to make this video. I made a severe and continuous lapse in my judgment, and I don't expect to be forgiven. I'm just here to apologize. I have played fighting games for my entire life, but I've never played Tekken. Yes, as I just said, Tekken was a franchise that has always eluded me. Fighting games have always been one of my favorite genres, despite not being very good at them. For a multitude of reasons, I never touched Tekken. Whether that being the overwhelming story, gameplay and mechanics vastly different from what I was used to, or being scared of the ability to sidestep, I never took the plunge. I really know next to nothing about these games. Hell, I thought these two were the same guy until very recently. If you don't know what Tekken is, and if you don't, I don't know why you're watching this video, it's a Japanese media franchise centered on a series of fighting games developed and published by Bandai Namco Entertainment. The main games in the series follow the events of the King of Iron Fist tournament, hosted by the Mishima Zaibatsu, where players control a plethora of characters to win the tournament and gain control of the company. I don't really give a fuck about it. Oh, I'm gonna skip. Whatever. I decided that with Tekken 8 being Tekken 8, now would be the perfect time to take the leap into this 30-year-old franchise. And who knows, maybe if these videos are a success, I can make some with SNK games, which I've also never played. If you guys want me to make videos on those too, mail me a letter at this address. Anyway, without further ado, let's dive right into the original Tekken. And hopefully, Tekken fans don't get too fucking mad at me.
Round 1. Fight!
Let's take a trip back in time. The atmosphere was saturated with oxygen. Giant creatures roamed the lands. Humanity was not even a dream. The year was 1994, and the world was about to change. In the early 90s, fighting games were popping the fuck off. Street Fighter II started it all in 1991, quickly causing an explosion of the genre in arcades. Fatal Fury, Mortal Kombat, Art of Fighting, World Heroes, Martial Champion, Balls. Japanese video game company Namco wanted to get in on the action and got to work developing what would become one of the most legendary fighting games of all time. But first they made Knuckleheads.
What the fuck is this piece of shit?
The most relevant fighting game released for the purposes of this video was Sega's Virtua Fighter, which hit arcades in October 1993. Virtua Fighter was revolutionary for introducing 3D characters in fighting games and popularized polygonal humans in video games as a whole. This was the approach Namco wanted to take with their big in-development fighting game, Tekken. They wanted this so bad, they even stole many of Sega's developers to work on Tekken. Most importantly, Seiichi Ichii, a designer on Virtua Fighter who was promoted to director on Tekken. Another key component to Tekken's development was Namco's partnership with Sony, working together to construct Namco's System 11 arcade board based on PlayStation 1 hardware. The System 11 was much cheaper to produce than Sega's Model 2 board, which they knew the upcoming Virtua Fighter 2 was being developed for. As a result, the Tekken arcade cabinets would be much more cost-effective to purchase than Virtua Fighter 2's, giving Namco's new game a leg up.
What good is the ultimate gaming system without the ultimate fighting game? Tekken for the Sony PlayStation, powered by Namco.
Another great bonus to the System 11 board is that it being based off of PlayStation hardware that allowed Namco to easily port the game to Sony's console in early 1995, which is what I'm playing here. I'm actually just emulating it, but you know what I mean.
Do not underestimate the power of PlayStation.
Now, I'm aware Tekken didn't really take off until the third entry in this series, but I found the original game way more enjoyable than I expected. It's still jank as hell, but there's certainly the foundations that made for something truly special later down the line. Oh, get out of here, bruh. That's fake. But first, let's talk about the elephant in the room. The graphics aren't the best, but in all honesty, I do find them really charming. Obviously, I'd prefer something with a little more fidelity, but the game looks cute. I mean, just look at King. How could you be mad at this guy? The selection of stages is pretty solid as well, with Tekken taking the player all over the world to 11 unique stages. Japan, Italy, England, Fiji, and even Antarctica. The game has it all. They all have a bright, fun aesthetic, but I quickly realized how barren they really are. Every stage is an endless field with no edges whatsoever. It's a really bizarre feeling, especially on a stage like Chicago, which is on top of a skyscraper. You cannot get closer to the edge of the building no matter what direction you walk in. So what was even the point of setting a fight here if there's no real threat of falling? While I think these stages look cool, they're ultimately kind of lame because they offer absolutely zero interesting gameplay scenarios. No corner pressure, corner combos, or even ring outs, a feature in the original Virtua Fighter which Tekken is already taking so much from. However, one thing I do want to praise with the stages, and this extends to the game as a whole, is the music, because it's damn good.
Round 1. Fight.
This is some great music. I'm playing music from this game throughout this section of the video, but some of my specific favorites include the themes for Szechuan China, Angkor Wat, and Absolute Venetian. Being 3D, I was shocked that the original Tekken didn't feature any sidestepping. It basically works like a normal 2D fighter but with 3D polygons. Characters can be knocked into the foreground or background, but the camera will always move, so you and your opponent will always be facing each other. Although there are alternate camera angles you can choose if you so desire, but frankly they're disgusting and make the game harder to play. You can fight from a top-down perspective? Who thought this was a good idea? Oh, I'm stuck like this now. That's fun. The game has a 4-button layout, each button corresponding to a different limb. Left punch, left kick, and right kick. Tapping any direction twice causes you to dash, which is pretty standard for most fighting games. However, if you press forward 3 times, you break out into a full sprint. If you run into your opponent while running, you tackle them to the ground. These mechanics all work well enough, but it certainly took time for me to get used to after being trained on Street Fighter's 6-button layout. What took even longer to get used to was the general pace of the fights. They're slow. Really slow.
Wake up. Wake up. Wake up. Wake up.
Hell, the game is so slow, one of the special moves is literally to just sit down.
Oh my god, bro. Oh, hell no, man. What the fuck, man?
Now, I like slow-paced fighting games. I prefer something like Mortal Kombat over your average anime fighter, because with these super fast-paced games, my brain can't even comprehend what's happening. But Tekken is fucking slow. I don't think I've ever had matches end in more time overs more often than when playing this game. Look at that. How are you gonna stop me now, huh? What are you gonna do? Oh. That's fair enough. Tekken is all about playing patiently and waiting for the exact right moment to strike, dealing large amounts of damage with only a few hits. Holy shit! Oh my god, dude, relax! You just fucking killed her! You are not seeing many massive combos here, although each character does have a 10-hit string, but they're all secrets the player needs to discover for themselves. Unfortunately, because I'm making this video from a small village in Romania, I don't have any internet connection to find out what these combos are. Not only is the game itself slow, but you need to input your moves slowly too, which was a massive pain. The foremost example to me was Kazuya's rising uppercut, using the exact same Z motion as a Shoryuken in Street Fighter. In Street Fighter, you can do that shit super fast and it comes out just fine, but in Tekken, there's a slight delay in going from forward to down. Tekken's gameplay has an entirely different rhythm to it, which I never got a full grasp on, even after completing everything the game has to offer. Tekken. Huh? I gotta get game over already? The game just started. The original Tekken is pretty light on game modes, including only 2-player versus mode, which is pretty self-explanatory, and the classic arcade mode, in which you pick one character, fight all the others, a sub-boss, and ultimately the final boss. As a reward, you get to watch an ending for each character, displaying some story for them. Some of the endings continue the story for your character, some give you lore tidbits, while others are just silly little skits. Oh shit! Holy fuck! What the fuck? This bitch is evil. I'm an insane person who actually plays fighting games for the story, so I was excited to see what the original Tekken had. As a quick aside, I'm getting all this story information from the manual, which has one of the most evil images I've ever seen. Anyway, as told in the manual, the setup is pretty simple. The Mishima Zaibatsu Financial Group is sponsoring the King of the Iron Fist martial arts tournament. Whoever defeats the head of the Mishima Zaibatsu, Heihachi Mishima, in the final round of the tournament will win a large amount of prize money. 8 fighters from around the world remain for the player to choose from and participate in the tournament. The first of our 8 characters is the original Tekken's protagonist, Kazuya Mishima. What's interesting about Kazuya is that Tekken basically took a Dimitri from Darkstalker's approach, having the protagonist of the game be a straight-up villain. Kazuya is the son of Heihachi, who threw him into a trench at 5 years old. Now, Kazuya is back for revenge, planning to kill his father and use his resources to take over the world. Oh, that's a toothbrush, man. Next is Paul Phoenix. Paul's a motorcycle-riding, pizza-eating, red-blooded, all-American boy. He's dedicated his life to martial arts and considers Kazuya his greatest rival. Kazuya and Paul play as their most standard, balanced fighting game characters. Kazuya has the classic rising uppercut, and both of them have moves that launch them forward. All they need is a fireball to be the classic Shoto archetype. As a whore for Shotos, they're the characters I enjoyed playing the most, especially Paul due to his quick speed. Or, well, quick for this game. I like Paul. Paul's fun. Actually, never mind. I don't like him. Never mind. Yeah, I changed my mind. I don't actually like Paul. I take it back.
Before anyone yells at me in the comments, I know Kazuya and Paul are not considered members of the Shoto archetype. I'm merely pointing out similarities between Kazuya and Paul's playstyles in the original Tekken and what we know as Shotos now. I'm sure the gameplay will evolve to differentiate them further in later games. Hell, I even said here in this video that they're not Shotos because they don't have fireballs. Just don't go in the comments and be mean to me about this, please. I am very sensitive.
The third member of our cast is King, a Mexican wrestler who dons a jaguar mask and joins the tournament in order to use this money to found an orphanage. It's Batman. Nothing is known about his past other than him being an orphan himself. King is Tekken's resident grappler and is genuinely my favorite character in this first installment. Get the fuck out of here. I love a lawful good hero, so he was my favorite from a story perspective, but I also loved his gameplay as well, which was shocking to me as someone who always hated playing grapplers due to their tough inputs.
But what the hell, boy?
But the inputs for King's grabs won't break my thumbs, and the moves themselves come out fairly quickly. Oh, it's White Woman Wednesday. I'm actually recording this on a Wednesday, so let's do it. Fourth is Nina Williams, a stealthy assassin trained by her own parents. Nina was hired to take part in the tournament to assassinate Heihachi by a mysterious benefactor. It's giving me a fucking noogie, what the hell? Also, the manual says one of her favorite things is Tom from Tom and Jerry. Very essential information to know. Thank you, Tekken. Nina is the closest Tekken has to a rushdown character, or as much of one as you can be considering how slow Tekken is. She has quick movement speed, a flurry of attacks, and a wide variety of throws. What? Shut up. Although her damage is a bit lower than everyone else to balance her out. For no particular reason, I like this one throw where she shoves your head in her cooch before breaking your back. Again, no particular reason. Next is Jack. He's essentially just the Terminator, built by the Soviet Union and sent to the tournament to kill Kazuya in order to stop his plans of a global coup d'etat. Jack is the token big, strong, slow guy. He moves slowly, even for this game, but his punches pack the most damage. Naturally, due to how the game already moves at a crawl, playing as Jack is painful, making him my least favorite character to play in this roster. I didn't like Jack at all, but my mind was completely changed when I saw him become Monkey. Following Jack is Martial Law, the legendary dragon. Law is a master of martial arts who works at a restaurant in San Francisco's Chinatown, dreaming of opening his own martial arts school. He entered the tournament to win the prize money and make his dream a reality. He just did 3 backflips. That's really cool, dude. I can't do that. Law is a charge character, so I was instantly out. I cannot stand charge characters, so playing as Law was not a good time. Can we just get rid of charge motions, please? If you've gotten this far into the video and don't know what charge characters are, first of all, thank you so much. That really means a lot to me. Secondly, charge characters are an archetype in which their special moves require the player to charge it by holding one direction for a certain amount of time, then quickly tapping another direction to fire. For the life of me, I can never get the timing for the charge down correctly. Even in this footage I'm showing here, where I'm just in training mode against an opponent standing completely still, I'm still messing it up. Pulling these moves off in actual matches feels impossible for me, so I really didn't find playing as Law to be all that fun. He's also a Bruce Lee homage, which every fighting game franchise is required to have by law. The Bruce Lee character, like Liu Kang or Fei Long, has never really appealed to me whatsoever and just feels like a tired trope at this point. It's probably an unfair criticism to level at a game that's over 30 years old, but I still find it uninteresting. Law being both a Bruce Lee homage and a charge character made him a total miss for me. Sorry, Law fans. Gotta hate charge characters. 7th is Michelle Chang, a mixed Native American Hong Konger woman whose father worked for Heihachi. After Heihachi murdered her father, Michelle joined the tournament to get revenge. I also want to note that the manual lists this Native American woman's likes as buffalo and hobbies as hunting. Very cool. Michelle is all about launchers and juggle combos, and she's pretty fun to play. Unfortunately, since I'm booty cheeks at fighting games, I never quite got the hang of her, but I'm looking forward to trying her out more in later games. The final character on the base roster is Yoshimitsu, a ninja from space! What does this mean? Is he an alien? Did he just live in space? Yoshi here is the leader of the Manji group, a clan of Robin Hoods who steal from the rich and give to the poor. Wait, is that Law? He joined the tournament as a cover for his subordinates to steal the tournament's operating funds. Yoshimitsu might also be the dumbest character in the game because he has a sword, yet refuses to use it. Instead, he mainly uses super far-reaching kicks and spins. I learned later that Yoshi does have a singular move where he uses the sword, but it's not in the manual. Thank you, Tekken. Overall, the roster is alright. Compared to the initial rosters of the competition like Street Fighter 2 and Mortal Kombat, where all the characters were home runs, I don't really feel the same about Tekken's cast. Kazuya, Heihachi, King, and Yoshimitsu are all S tier in my book, but all the others just feel pretty generic to me. Even Paul, who I really enjoyed playing as, is basically just Ken in terms of story. All that being said, I wouldn't say any of the characters are flat out bad. They all have potential, and I'm excited to see how they evolve over the course of this series, both in gameplay and story. Who hired Nina to kill Heihachi? What's the purpose of the army of jacks? Is Yoshimitsu really an alien? I genuinely want to learn the answers to these questions. I assume the only canon ending is Kazuya's, in which he defeats Heihachi and chucks him off a massive cliff. Yep, Heihachi is really dead. He's never coming back. Each character also has an alternate costume. When on the character select screen and pressing a punch button, you select their default look, but pressing a kick button gives you their secondary outfit. I've done some Googling and I think Tekken is the first fighting game to include alternate costumes. If I'm mistaken, just let me know. Mortal Kombat introduced alternate costumes in Mortal Kombat 4 in 1997, and it took Street Fighter until 2008 to include alternate costumes with Street Fighter 4. Tekken has been doing this since '94, which I think is really cool. Something else that I think is really awesome and I've never seen before in any other game is that each character has a unique sub-boss before facing Heihachi. Each one of these sub-bosses is a clone character, meaning they just borrow moves from one of the main roster. Kazuya faces his adopted brother Li Chaolan, aka the silver-haired devil, who Kazuya considers his rival. Li is a clone of Law, but something really stupid about him is that he can kick infinitely, so defeating him is basically impossible if the AI decides to use that attack. Holy shit, stop! This guy's crazy! He doesn't stop kicking! How do I win? What do I do? Hello? Huh? What the fuck was that? Paul has to fight Kuma. Yes, Kuma is a bear who borrows Jack's moveset. I knew there was a literal bear character in Tekken because, well, it's kind of impossible to not know that, but I was not expecting him to appear when playing through the arcade ladder. Holy shit! Kuma is Heihachi's pet bear who he taught martial arts to in order to be his sparring partner. Yes, really, that is his lore. King versus Armor King? Holy shit, it's me but evil! King throws down with, Armor King, who naturally uses King's own moves. King and Armor King were former rivals, King accidentally crushing one of Armor King's eyes in a match. Armor King's wrestling career failed to take off due to his injury, so he joined the tournament to get revenge on King. Armor King is probably my favorite of these sub-bosses because just fucking look at him. He's really fucking cool. Nina has a showdown with her little sister Anna, who shares her moveset. As they grew up, their father only ever showed affection towards Nina, causing Anna to become hateful of him and envious of her sister. She joins the tournament to fight Nina and once again, get revenge. I'm starting to sense a pattern here. Jinrei Wang is the opponent for Law, a Chinese merchant and friend of Kazuya's deceased grandfather Jinpachi. He now works for Heihachi for some reason. I'm also unsure of what his connection to Law is, other than them both being Chinese. Oh well. When it comes to gameplay, he's a clone of Michelle. Michelle fights Kunimitsu, a former member of the Manji group banished for stealing for herself. She's joined the tournament to steal the Native American treasure pillaged on Heihachi's behalf. As Yoshimitsu's former subordinate, Kunimitsu naturally is a clone of him. Yoshimitsu faces Ganryu, the strongest sumo wrestler in the world, disgraced due to unacceptable conduct outside of the ring.
What do you mean by that?
I assume he's joined the tournament to regain his honor, but his bio doesn't really say anything about his motivations. He's a clone of Jack, but he does have a ton of unique sumo-based moves, such as hand slaps and a stomp. I skipped Jack's opponent to save for last because he's the dumbest fighting game character I have ever seen. I present to you, P-Jack.
You serious?
This action figure man is a Jack prototype, entered into the tournament by Heihachi in order to stop Jack. Naturally, he's a clone of Jack as well. I actually love all of these guys, even more than the base roster for the most part. I find their designs to be more interesting and varied, but unfortunately they obviously play very similarly to the main cast as well as each other, with far too many of them being clones of Jack. Oh yeah, that's right, all the sub-bosses are unlockable secret characters. With every successfully completed arcade ladder, one of the sub-bosses is unlocked for the player to take control of. Even the final boss Heihachi himself is unlockable. There's also another unlockable character named Devil, who is just a costume for Kazuya. You can only unlock him by completing the Galaga minigame in the loading screen, which I'm way too lazy to do. When counting the main roster with the unlockable characters, Tekken goes up to a whopping 18 characters. That blows past Super Street Fighter 2 and Mortal Kombat 2, both of which were released a year earlier with 16 fighters each. Tekken was a moderate success at release, selling 1.7 million copies in the US and Japan. It was the fourth best-selling video game in 1995 behind Virtua Fighter 2, but it did better than VF2 critically, right?
No.
While Tekken was reviewed very well, most critics agreed it didn't quite reach VF2's level. Regardless, I enjoyed the original Tekken way more than I ever thought I would. I went in expecting a slog until I got to Tekken 3, but I found a really fun, albeit janky and slow, fighting game. I'm really excited to see where this series goes from here, and boy does it go places. Tekken was a big enough success to warrant a sequel called Tekken 2. It's just called Tekken 2.